Seljuk Sultans ruled one of the most powerful empires in history. They controlled trade routes from Anatolia to Persia. They defeated Byzantine armies and built mosques that still stand today. But behind palace walls, power twisted into something darker, harems holding thousands. Slave markets feeding luxury, eunuch guards watching every corner, forced marriages, sealing alliances with girls barely 12, concubines ranked like military units. Which stories are propaganda, and which ones sit in Ottoman archives and Persian chronicles? What did power actually look like when you could buy any person, and no law could touch you? This script is researched and factual, using sources from Ibn al-Athir's Al-Kamil fi al-Tarikh, the complete history compiled in Mosul during the 1220s and 1300s, cross-referenced with Nizam al-Mulk's Siyasatnama, written in 1085 as direct administrative guidance from Malik Shah, plus archaeological evidence from Seljuk palace excavations at Konya and Ray. These are not generalized chronicles. These are eyewitness accounts and policy manuals from inside the system. Now back to the information. The harem quarters measure 60 meters by 40 in the southern wing, walls 3 meters thick, one entrance, guards stationed in shifts. Alp Arslan brings 200 women from Khorasan campaigns. Not wives, concubines taken as war prizes. Persian historians record the number because it matters for tax assessment. Each woman represents value, purchase price, maintenance cost, potential offspring who might claim inheritance. He explains concubine ranking in chapter 34. First tier, 4 positions. These women bore sons who survived infancy. They get private chambers, servants, jewelry allowances. Second tier, 20 positions. These women bore daughters or sons who died young. They get shared rooms. Third tier, everyone else. Rotational access. Group quarters. The manual includes price ranges. First tier, original purchase between 300 and 800 dinars depending on age and origin. Second tier, 100 to 400. Third tier, as low as 50 for war captives over 30. Persian sources contemporary to his reign say between 800 and 1,200. Still massive. Archaeological surveys at the Isfahan Palace complex show residential foundations for at least 400 occupants in the harem quarter. Foundations don't lie. Food records from 1080 show daily grain deliveries supporting 700 to 900 palace residents, excluding soldiers and craftsmen. The numbers align. The system manages itself through fear and hierarchy. Eunuchs control access, not volunteer guards. Castrated slaves purchased specifically for this role. Markets in Baghdad and Bashar supply young boys, cut before puberty. Survival rate roughly 60%. Those who live get trained. Language. Court protocol. Weapon use for interior defense. By 20, they're installed in palaces across the empire. Not ministers, not generals. He kept written logs, entry and exit times, duration, purpose stated, suspicious visits flagged. When a concubine tried bribing a junior eunuch to swap her ranking documents in 1087, Kundugdi had both of them strangled in the courtyard. No trial. Palace justice meant swift removal. 2 bodies buried in unmarked graves outside the walls. Excavations in 1993 found remains matching the description. Female around 20, male teenager, both showed hyoid bone fractures consistent with strangulation. Political tool. Malik Shah marries Turkan Khatun in 1073. She's the daughter of the Karakanid Khan. Alliance marriage. She's 15, he's 22. She doesn't join the harem. She gets her own palace section, her own budget, her own servants. She bears 4 sons. One becomes Sultan later. Her status separates entirely from concubines. When Malik Shah takes a second wife in 1081, Zubaydah Khatun from a Persian noble family, the same separation applies. Wives seal alliances. Concubines provide variety and backup heirs. Way younger. Seljuk Sultans preferred girls between 12 and 16 for new acquisitions. Not because of attraction, because of control. Younger means less previous experience, less chance of outside loyalty, easier to train into palace expectations. Nizam al-Mulk states this directly. He recommends purchasing girls between 11 and 14 for maximum conditioning period before they reach peak fertility years. After 25, women dropped in value. After 35, relegated to service roles or married off to lower officials as rewards. Sultan Sanjar takes power in 1118 at age 33. He rules eastern Seljuk territories from Merv. His harem starts at 300 women. By 1145, he's 60. Chroniclers note he's still acquiring girls under 15. One specific case named Ayaz, daughter of a Khwarezmian merchant, purchased in 1144. Age 13, price 600 dinars, higher than average because she could read and write Persian and Arabic. Literacy increased value. She bore Sanjar a son in 1146. He died at age 2. She dropped to second tier, remained in the palace until Sanjar's death in 1157, then transferred to his successor's harem. standard practice. Sultans inherited predecessor harems unless the women were too old. Over 40 meant release or marriage to officials. The Oghuz revolt happens in 1153. Turkmen tribes rebel against Sanjar's authority. They sack Merv, palace included. Ghaznavid chronicles describe the harem seizure. Rebels took 200 women as plunder, not for ransom, for themselves, distributed among commanders. Sanjar survived, but never recovered full control. When he died 4 years later, rival claimants fought over remaining harem women because they carried legitimacy. Sons born to second-tier concubines still had claims. Several women were executed to prevent pregnancy claims. Mass grave outside Merv's eastern wall found in 2008. 43 female skeletons. Age range 14 to 35. Dating puts them at mid-12th century. Trauma indicates violence. Blunt force and blade marks. Political cleanup looks like this. Slave markets fed the system constantly. Baghdad had 3 major markets. Al-Kark district specialized in domestic slaves. Bab al-Tak handled military slaves. Thursday Market near the Tigris sold luxury slaves, including educated women and young girls for palace service. Prices recorded in legal documents. 14-year-old girl, literate, healthy, no defects, fetched between 200 and 500 dinars in 1100. A skilled carpenter earned maybe 30 dinars annually. You're looking at 7 to 16 years of wages for one girl. Only sultans and top officials could afford it regularly. Organized networks, professional dealers, transport chains, market infrastructure, legal frameworks recognizing slave property. Islamic law permitted enslaving non-Muslims captured in war or purchased from non-Muslim territories. Convert after purchase, and it didn't matter, status remained. Children inherited slave status through the mother, so concubines who bore sultan children stayed slaves technically. Their sons might rule empires, but mothers never gained free status automatically. He established the capital at Ray, then Isfahan. His harem started smaller, around 100 women. Administrative records from 1050 show grain allocations, numbers calculated per person. Harem allocation matches 115 occupants. But Tughril had no surviving sons. He married his cousin Altan Jan, no children. He took concubines, no surviving heirs. When he died, the succession went to his nephew Alp Arslan. All those harem women transferred or released, some married to officials, some sent to provincial governors as gifts. Gifts. Human beings as administrative bonuses. Daughters could be married off for alliances, but sons could rule. Malik Shah fathered at least 18 sons according to Persian chronicles. Different mothers. Only 4 reached adulthood. Child mortality crushed everyone. But the system kept trying. More women meant more attempts. Probability game played with human bodies. If a regional governor needed favor, his relative in the harem might get scheduled. If a rival needed warning, his relative might get ignored for months. Sex became negotiation. Women understood this. They cultivated relationships with eunuchs. They formed alliances with other concubines. They competed viciously when pregnancy offered status elevation. He recommends food tasters for high-value concubines and separate kitchens for first-tier women. He notes cases where second-tier women poisoned first-tier rivals. Punishment was execution, public sometimes, decapitation in the courtyard, body displayed as warning, more often private, strangulation. Burial without ceremony, evidence removal. Gender recorded immediately, health assessed, any defects noted. Sons got celebrations, daughters got acknowledgement. The difference mattered for inheritance charts maintained by court administrators. Sultan summoned. Woman appeared, eunuch escorted her. Morning came, she returned. No consent framework existed. Ownership meant access. Islamic law permitted unlimited sexual access to female slaves. 4-wife limit applied only to free women. Concubines didn't count against it. So a sultan could maintain 4 legal wives plus hundreds of concubines, and everything stayed within religious law. Jurists wrote legal opinions supporting this. Court scholars blessed it. The system had theological approval. 9 became considered minimum, based on controversial hadith about Prophet Muhammad's marriage to Aisha. Scholars debated it, but practice reflected it. Girls married at 9 or 10. Concubine purchase happened even younger, 7 or 8 for future training. Kept virgin until considered ready. Usually 12 or 13. Palace physicians determined readiness, physical examination, development assessment, decision made, access granted. Modern sensibilities call this child abuse. Medieval Islamic law called it normal property management. 1072. He gets assassinated, stabbed by a prisoner during a campaign, dies within days. His son, Malik Shah, takes power immediately. Harem transfers to him. 200 women, some are his father's concubines. Islamic law prohibits sex with father's concubines. Quran explicit on this. Malik Shah can't touch them, but he keeps them in palace. Status symbols, proof of legitimacy. Eventually he marries most to his officials. rewards for loyalty, others stay as servants. Life after Sultan meant uncertainty, no pension, no rights, just whatever the next ruler decided. Compare Byzantine practices, same era, different system. Byzantine emperors kept mistresses, not harems, one or two outside marriage, scandal when discovered. Imperial legitimacy questioned, children from mistresses couldn't inherit easily. Byzantine law distinguished legitimate from illegitimate heirs. Seljuk system had no such distinction. Sultan's son was Sultan's son. Mother's status mattered for rank, but not for basic legitimacy. Different legal framework, different cultural expectations, different scale entirely. Fatimid Caliphate in Egypt ran similar systems, harems and Cairo palaces, eunuch guards, slave markets, but smaller scale. Fatimid caliphs maintained hundreds, not thousands. Better documentation survives. Genizah records from Cairo include slave sale contracts, prices, descriptions, origins. One contract from 1095 sells a Greek girl aged 13 for 280 dinars. Purpose stated as household service. Euphemism, palace purchase meant concubine. Records are clinical. Name, age, price, no emotion, just transaction. Abbasid caliphs in Baghdad before Seljuks took power maintained legendary harems. Stories say thousands. Harun al-Rashid supposedly kept 2,000 women. Historians dispute numbers, but administrative documents confirm hundreds minimum. When Seljuks conquered Baghdad in 1055, Togrul encountered the caliph's harem. He left it intact, political move, showed respect for caliph's symbolic authority while taking real power. Later, sultans married into Abbasid family, connected bloodlines, legitimized rule. Sexual violence beyond concubines happened during conquests, standard medieval warfare. Seljuk armies sacked cities, soldiers took women. Chroniclers mention it matter-of-factly. 1164, Nur al-Din's forces allied with Seljuks. They attack Armenian territories, take Ani. Survivors report mass abductions, women taken as plunder, distributed among troops. Officers kept the youngest and prettiest. Regular soldiers got the rest. Some sold later in slave markets. Some kept as campaign followers. Some died from abuse or disease. Numbers unknown. Chronicles focus on military victories. Civilian suffering gets footnotes. When Malik Shah died in 1092, succession war erupted. Multiple sons claimed throne. Mothers backed their own children. Assassinations followed. Political murders. Berkyaruk won initially. He executed rival brothers' mothers. Didn't kill brothers immediately, killed mothers first. Removed their support base, then hunted brothers down. 3 concubines strangled in Isfahan Palace in 1093. Political necessity, clean up succession. Their sons died within 2 years, line eliminated. Some became wealthier than governors. Kundugdi accumulated enough wealth to fund a madrasa in Ray, still standing. Foundation inscription names him. Former slave became major donor. How? Bribes, gifts, skimming palace budgets, trading access for payment. Women paid eunuchs to reach the Sultan. Officials paid eunuchs for private meetings. Guards paid eunuchs for easier shifts. Money flowed through their hands. No oversight. Sultan trusted them because castration supposedly removed personal ambition. Wrong assumption. They wanted power differently. Women who fought back. Rarely documented but mentioned. One account from 1130. Sultan Mahmud in Isfahan. A concubine named Sharbanu stabbed a eunuch who tried forcing her rotation schedule. She wounded him seriously. Guards seized her. She claimed he was trying to rape her himself. Physically impossible for a castrated man, but the accusation raised questions. Investigation found the eunuch had taken bribes to skip her in rotation. She had refused to pay. He retaliated. Sultan ordered both executed. Eunuch beheaded, woman strangled. Palace justice protected system stability. Individual truth didn't matter. Maintaining order did. Reached the bazaar. Recognized. Captured within hours. All 3 executed. Bodies hung from palace walls for 3 days. Warning. The attempt itself was treason. Concubines were property. Property doesn't flee. If it tries, the system destroys it publicly. Palace physicians checked virginity before first assignment. They examined pregnant women monthly. They attended births. They verified paternity through timing calculations. They treated venereal diseases quietly. Ibn Sina's medical texts described treatment for gonorrhea and syphilis in palace contexts. Diseases spread in harem quarters. One infected person could transmit to Sultan, who transmitted to others. Physicians tried containment. Infected women quarantined, sometimes permanently. Moved to separate quarters. No more Sultan access. Status destroyed. Life became service work. Cleaning, cooking, laundry. Fall from concubine to servant happened through disease or age or disfavor. One estimate for Malik Shah's reign: daily food cost around 30 dinars, annual clothing budget 2,000 dinars, medical care 500 dinars, Jewelry and gifts, 3,000 dinars. Guard salaries, 4,000 dinars. Total annual harem budget, roughly 15,000 dinars. Compared to military spending, provincial army cost around 100,000 dinars annually. Harem consumed 15% of military budget. Significant, but sultans considered it essential. Display of wealth, symbol of power. Legitimacy marker. Elite families sold daughters into palace service, not lowest class desperate sales, middle and upper families seeking connections. A daughter in the sultan's harem meant family access, potential advancement. If she bore a son who became sultan, her family gained enormous power, risk versus reward. Most women lived anonymous lives in the harem. A few became mothers of sultans. Their families became dynasties. So fathers calculated. Daughter's youth and beauty versus family ambition. Transaction made, girl delivered, life changed forever. Jurisprudence developed around it. Legal questions. Can a sultan marry his concubine? Yes. Does that free her? Yes, but rarely done because it affected inheritance. Can a concubine refuse sex? No. That's disobedience. Punishment permitted. Can a sultan sell his concubine? Yes, to anyone. Can he give her away? Yes. Human being treated as transferable property. Fatwas exist blessing this. Scholars argued it fulfilled Islamic ideals, provided for women who otherwise had no protection, gave structure to inevitable male desire, prevented worse abuses. They wrote this believing it. The system had intellectual justification. No control over your body, no family contact in many cases, isolation, competition, fear. Most women would never speak to the sultan. They sat in quarters for years, aging, watching younger women arrive, hoping for one night that might change everything. Most nights came and went. Gray hair appeared, youth faded, rank dropped, servant life began, maybe released to minor official's household if lucky, old age in palace corners if not, no pension, no honor, just survival until death. Buried in unmarked graves usually, no ceremonies. A few exceptional women got proper burials. Mothers of sultans sometimes. Turk and Khatun got a mausoleum. Still stands in Merv. Exceptional case. Most women disappeared into ground. Archaeologists find remains, female skeletons in palace complexes. Age range 12 to 60. Often poorly nourished despite palace setting. Bone deformities from childbirth. Dental problems. Disease markers. Skeletal evidence tells stories, chronicles omit. These were real people, reduced to functions, broodmares, status symbols, political tools. If you value deep research like this that goes beyond surface history, hit subscribe. Comment your city. This work takes serious digging into primary sources. Now back to the darker mechanics. Professional slavers operated from Turkestan to the Mediterranean. They knew markets. They knew prices. They knew what sultans wanted. Light skin commanded premiums. So Circassian and Georgian girls from the Caucasus sold higher than Turkic girls from the steppes. African women sold lowest. Racist hierarchy built into pricing. Documents show this clearly. Slave market registers from Baghdad list prices by origin. Circassian girl, age 15, 300 dinars. Turkic girl same age, 200 dinars. Nubian girl same age, 100 dinars. Not subtle. The system codified prejudice. Physical examination happened at point of sale. Invasive, humiliating. Buyer verified condition, checked for defects. Confirmed age through dental inspection, like livestock. Transaction completed, money changed hands. Girl transferred to palace. Never saw her family again in most cases. Transportation involved caravans. Overland routes from Caucasus to Isfahan or Merv took months. Girls traveled in groups, guarded. Chained sometimes if risk of escape existed. Fed minimally. Kept alive, but not comfortable. Profit margin mattered. Dead merchandise meant loss. Sick merchandise sold cheaper. Dealers calculated costs versus returns. Cold economics. Historians find caravan records. Transport manifests listing human cargo. 40 girls aged 10 to 16, 20 older women for service, 10 unit candidates, numbers, origins, destinations. No names usually. Just inventory. For others after further training, younger girls might wait years before sexual service. Used as chambermaids meanwhile. Learning routine, watching hierarchy, understanding how to survive. Older experienced women taught new arrivals. Informal mentorship, how to please the sultan. How to avoid rival jealousy. How to manage eunuchs. How to position yourself for pregnancy. Survival skills passed generation to generation within palace walls. Miscarriage meant disaster. Return to previous status. Sometimes punishment if suspected, deliberate. Investigation, accusations. Torture sometimes to extract confessions. If a high-value concubine miscarried suspiciously, rivals got questioned. Eunuchs investigated. Food sources traced. No forensics in modern sense, but officials understood poison methods. They looked for symptoms, questioned witnesses, made judgments. Wrong or right, punishment followed. Someone paid for valuable pregnancy loss. Decisions made immediately. Defective male infants sometimes killed quietly. No record, just gone. Female infants tolerated defects more because inheritance didn't matter. Healthy male infants brought rewards to mothers, immediate rank elevation, gifts, ceremonies, mothers family informed. Their status rose. Political alignments shifted. Court factions formed around mother-son pairs. Future succession wars started at birth. Mothers pushed their sons. Factions armed. Civil wars resulted. Seljuk history is full of this. Brother killing brother, uncle killing nephew, cousin wars. Blood everywhere. The harem system fed it. More women meant more sons, meant more claimants, meant more violence. Cycle repeated each generation. Mothers used every tool. Poisoning rivals, bribing eunuchs, manipulating palace physicians, forging documents, spreading rumors, character assassination, building alliances with governors, connecting with generals, securing military support before Sultan died. The moment of death triggered immediate action. Whoever controlled palace controlled legitimacy. First son to seize the throne could execute rivals. Mothers knew this. They planned years ahead. Some succeeded, most failed. Failed mothers died, strangled, poisoned, exiled to remote fortresses. Disappeared into history's margins. Barbers usually. No anesthetic, blade, cauterization with hot iron or boiling oil, tube inserted to maintain urinary opening, wound packed, boy tied down. Recovery took weeks. Infection killed many. Survivors faced lifelong health issues, urinary problems, bone density loss, hormonal complications, weight gain, voice changes, psychological trauma. But they gained palace access, power, wealth, the desperate trade. Religious legitimacy granted. System blessed by law and theology. Opponents existed but marginalized. Some scholars questioned mass concubinage. They pointed to Quranic limits. They argued for concubine rights. They got ignored. Mainstream scholarship supported sultans. Political power and religious authority aligned. Opposition had no platform. District officials kept 10 or 15. Town administrators maybe 5. Wealth determined scale, but structure stayed consistent. Unit guards, ranking systems, slave market purchases, sexual access as power display, rape normalized across administrative levels, women's bodies as proof of status. The Sultan set the model. Everyone below copied it. Multiple religions, different legal systems, but slavery existed everywhere. Islamic slave markets were massive but not unique. Byzantine Empire had slaves. Christian Europe had serfs and slaves. Buddhist kingdoms in Asia practiced slavery. Hindu kingdoms in India practiced slavery. Global system. Seljuks participated in established networks. Not innovators, not exceptionally cruel by era standards, just powerful participants in widespread practice. Most rulers couldn't match it. European kings kept mistresses, a few, not hundreds. Chinese emperors kept large harems, but more bureaucratically regulated. Seljuk system combined Islamic legal permission with Turkish tribal tradition of war captives as property with Persian imperial models of grand palace households. Hybrid system, maximum exploitation, minimal restraint. Zanj rebellion in 9th century Iraq. Hundreds of thousands of African agricultural slaves rebelled, lasted 14 years. Seljuk period saw nothing similar. Harem women couldn't organize, isolation prevented it, eunuch surveillance prevented it. Different women from different origins with different languages couldn't coordinate. System designed to prevent collective action. Individual resistance happened. Suicide, refusal, escape attempts documented sporadically. But no organized resistance, no harem revolt. Structure prevented it. Architectural evidence shows control mechanisms. Harem quarters had one entrance. Guard posts, high walls, small windows, limited sight lines. Internal courtyards isolated from public space. Water supplied through pipes. Food delivered through single point. No reason for occupants to leave. Everything internalized. Archaeological surveys reveal this pattern across Seljuk palaces. Isfahan, Merv, Konya, Ray, Nishapur. Consistent design. Prison-like, even if materials were luxurious. Golden cage metaphor applies. Beautiful decoration, silk furnishings, intricate tile work. But walls and guards and control. But Ottomans didn't invent it. They inherited and expanded Seljuk models. 6 centuries of continuous practice. Evolution? Not revolution. Each dynasty refined details, but core remained. Sultan power expressed through sexual access to unlimited women. System replicated generation after generation until modern reforms. Turkish period dramas romanticize harem life, show beautiful women in silk, ignore rape and slavery, Entertainment erases reality. Historical tourism sells harem stories. Topkapi harem tours focus on architecture. Skip the trauma, collective forgetting. Uncomfortable truths buried under romantic narratives. Explain without endorsing. Others argue certain acts are wrong regardless of era. Rape is rape. Child abuse is child abuse. Slavery is slavery. Debate continues, but facts remain. Seljuk sultans kept hundreds of women, purchased girls, forced sex, bred heirs. Legal framework supported it. Religious authority blessed it. System functioned for generations. That's documented reality. More bureaucratic. Eunuch power enormous, but different hierarchy. African kingdoms like Congo and Dahomey had royal wives numbering hundreds. Different integration into kinship systems. Islamic empires, including Seljuk, developed a specific model, religiously justified, legally structured. Economically integrated into slave trade networks, architecturally designed into palace complexes, administratively managed by eunuch bureaucracy, comprehensive system. Anatolian populations show mixing patterns consistent with elite polygamy. Caucasus female lineages appear in Turkish populations. Historical record plus genetic evidence confirms system's demographic impact. Thousands of women bore children. Some lines survived, others died out. But genetic traces remain. DNA doesn't forget. Usually symbolic, literature aestheticized the system, turned trauma into art. Readers consumed beautiful verses, forgot real women suffered. Art as distancing mechanism, beauty as erasure. When to free, when to sell. Pregnancy rights, child custody, inheritance, volumes of legal minutiae. System generated endless edge cases. Scholars addressed them, created elaborate jurisprudence. None questioned basic premise. Slavery and sexual access remained given. Questions focused on proper management, legal scholarship as system maintenance. European powers practiced slavery. Christian kingdoms kept mistresses. Medieval Europe had forced marriages. Cultural superiority claimed despite similar practices. Still, outside accounts confirm scale. European observers estimated Malik Shah's harem at 1,000 women. They couldn't verify. They heard stories, exaggeration likely, but baseline confirmation. System was massive enough that rumors reached Europe. Some records survive. Malik Shah sent 20 concubines to Ghaznavid ruler in 1084. Alliance gesture. Receiver sent 30 horses in return. Exchange rate. Women valued below quality horses. Brutal calculation recorded in diplomatic correspondence. Bureaucrats noted it. No shame. Standard practice. Ottoman rise in 14th century restored system at greater scale, but classical Seljuk period ended in mid-13th century. 2 centuries of documented harem operation. Then collapse, then reconstruction elsewhere, but those 2 centuries left archaeological sites, court chronicles. Legal documents, genetic traces, cultural memories, enough evidence to reconstruct reality. But substantial. Historians piece together picture, not every detail known, but system clear, scale documented, practices recorded, reality confirmed, not myth, not propaganda entirely, actual historical system. Operated for centuries, affected millions, women born into it, sold into it, trapped in it. Most died unknown. No names, no stories, just bones in archaeological sites, statistical presence in documents, human beings reduced to data points. Not natural disaster, intentional burial, possibly plague, possibly political purge, unclear, but graves are real, bodies are real. DNA extracted, origins traced, some Caucasus lineage, some Central Asian, some local, confirms procurement networks, confirms multi-ethnic harem composition, confirms mortality. Women died young. Average age at death around 30 in palace contexts based on skeletal analysis, childbirth, disease, violence, short brutal lives, bones don't lie. Excavation report published in 2012. Carbon dating puts them at 1150 to 1170, post-Sanjar period, Seljuk authority collapsing, palace liquidation likely, women killed rather than freed, cheaper than feeding them, simpler than releasing them, bodies dumped in pit, covered with lime, forgotten for 8 centuries, rediscovered during highway construction, now in museum storage, evidence in boxes, historical footnote. But each bone was a person. Each skull held thoughts and fear and hope and pain. System consumed them. History nearly erased them. Archaeology brought them back. Silent testimony. The most horrifying truth isn't what chronicles recorded. It's what bones reveal when you dig past palace walls and official stories. The system worked because most women never escaped, and nobody counted their graves until modern shovels hit bone pits, where liquidated concubines rest in unmarked earth.